But what's your favorite barbecue in Kansas City?
Yeah.
And do you guys even get, like, it's just go, go, go. Do you get any chance to, like, go enjoy it? Or?
No. First of all, I'm not a foodie, so I'd rather have sushi than barbecue. But so you're like, whatever someone gives me a menu for, I'll choose something off of. But can't really say that I crave barbecue very often. And not that I don't like barbecue sauce. It's just not my thing. So, and no, we get in, we go to the game, we prepare to play tomorrow. So business trip for sure.
I guess as you go into this now one and done phase of the season, I guess, do you sense any extra determination or focus from all the seniors and the experience that you have on this group?
Yeah, I think, I think we first had to, and, I can say me included in this, I think we had to get over the loss before we could move on to this tournament. I think it's always your goal to win this tournament. I think there's obviously 16 teams whose goal it is, and 4 teams lost yesterday, and 4 more will lose today, and so, I think, what did we learn yesterday? The championship will be on Sunday. That's, kind of all that was essentially determined. But, I do think you have limited time to get more hardware, and I think that the unique challenge of being a senior is your time and your energy and everything when you play college sports is so laid out. It's so, and I think the fear of the unknown is always greater than, the fear of the known, or the frustrations at times you have with what your life feels like. And so I think there's that balance this time of year between being excited about the possibility of what this team can still do, and the fear of what's going to happen when it's over. And I think that's probably for a lot of college grads, but I think, a lot of non-student athletes have job offers and have been doing co-ops and, sometimes even have a job before they ever leave college. So, we don't really give them a whole lot of time to do a co-op.
You won't have bugs for this tournament. I guess over this last stretch of games without her, what have you learned about this group, and has anyone or anything about that stretch surprised you?
I think we've been resilient. I think sometimes you have to understand that ironically less is more, and it doesn't mean that in a lot of those moments you're not missing what Bugs brings. But I've said this a lot. I think it's made Wise more invested, not because she wasn't ever a great teammate or had a bad attitude, but you hit that point as someone who doesn't get a ton of minutes where you begin to check out whether you want to or not. And I think, the nature of being limited in numbers, everyone stayed pretty locked in, and knows there's opportunity. And I think this team, whatever challenge there's been, I mean, when I don't even know if I should admit this, but when we were up 9 at half at Kansas State, and I walk out at halftime, and I'm looking at the score, and I'm like, how do we lose this? In my head, and it's not doomsday. It's what are they going to do that, in this next 20 minutes that mentally I have to prepare for. And I didn't prepare for Bella going down. I think that when you think about game plan, and we had focused on Bella is staying on Sundown. We're not switching. We're not, we didn't have a lot of people get a lot of reps on her because we were really focused, even though we'll often switch guard to guard. No, this is what we're doing. And so, but I think that the team's shown resilience. They've figured out how are we going to win this game with these people, and what are our advantages, and our advantage in that game was being small and quick and getting a piece of the paint, and then utilizing Nettie, and I thought Nettie was obviously great all night there. So I think that's it. I thought the TCU game, because if you look at our numbers offensively, during February. Let's say, like, February is a beautiful month, for us. It was a beautiful month for offensive purposes and defensive purposes. But if you look at our numbers, we were so efficient offensively. And all of a sudden, we played TCU and ran into a buzzsaw. And that was the first game. It was like, wow, like, we desperately missed Bugs, and we missed that rim run layup. We missed those 4 offensive rebounds, the way she's going to create opportunities for other people, because when it's hard to score, she can get you an offensive rebound, kick it 1 more 3. She does those little things. And so I thought that was the first game that, while we always miss her because she's that important to us, were the game itself and how it was played. I mean, we clipped along. We made shots at Colorado. We made shots against Kansas State. Like, we made shots without Bugs. That was the first game where, like, the energy and the effort that she brings that we really missed.
So from that game, what's an adjustment, or what do you have to do from that game to be more like you were in February?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think probably TCU's better defensively than sometimes people give them credit for, because I think they're, because of the big 3, because of their offensive efficiency and the way they can score, you talk a lot about their offense. And obviously, we made them pretty inefficient as well. And so I think it's about it's about setting better screens. It's about getting our shoulders turned and seeing the basket. It's about, we can pick out a number of moments where we miss layups, but we got to work harder off the ball. Like, I felt like they tried to take Sarah away, and they did a good job of it. She also let them, and there's that, if you get another shot at them, you can't take that for, because it wasn't like, sometimes teams will play. Last year, Iowa State, up at their place, they started the game in a box and 1, and they were denying her. Well, then we're going to get other stuff pretty easily, if we're moving and they're trying to hand people off. That's different than everyone being guarded man-to-man, but one person just being guarded a little bit harder, and we can't afford for Sarah to not be a part of what we're doing. Her getting the ball, her playing downhill, her making good decisions with the ball downhill are important for us, and whether she consistently makes that mid-range shot or not, she has to know it's there and get her feet ready to take it, because I thought she rushed into a lot of them. She got fouled on one of them, but the other ones were not really close. They weren't bad decisions, but, like, you have to get your body ready to play in the mid-range.
You mentioned the resilience the team showed, but are there other areas maybe from the beginning of the year to now where you're pleased that they've shown you improvement or kind of getting more in lockstep with y'all that you're excited to see in this phase of the season? Yeah,
well, I think it's game planning. I listened to Bill at halftime, Fennelly talk of the Arizona State-Cincinnati game last night, and they were like, okay, what's the difference? You guys have won 6 of 7, versus the beginning of the year. You obviously played a hard schedule. And he said, we probably weren't old enough. They have such a young roster, and because of that, you don't understand that the teams that are winning across the country are the old teams, because you prep better, you game plan better, and so I think his team has gotten better at that as the season's gone along. And yes, their sophomores have played a ton of minutes, over 2 years, so they certainly are not typical sophomores. But I think, I feel like with us, when you think about our scheme versus Indiana versus our scheme versus TCU, we've grown a ton in how we not just understand a game plan, but execute it. And that could be offensively, that could be defensively. We spend a lot of time, like, this is what's going to be there against them offensively. We're going to have to draw 2 and kick it. Okay, in this game, TCU didn't ball side help. Like, that's very similar to us. So, you're going to have to play to the backside. You're going to have to play to the drop pass. The only help's going to come from Sedona, and it's probably going to come late. So it's kind of understanding the plan on both sides of the ball. And I don't think we were very good at that early in the year. I think we let kids that were shooters get shots and kids that were drivers get to the rim. And, I think we've grown a lot in terms of game planning on both sides of the ball, what's going to be there, what we're looking for. And that really goes to offense and defense. Like, you can score off screens on this team. Like, we've got to set good pin downs, versus this team is going to step up in ball screens. They're going to ice ball screens. This is what's going to be available against the ice. And so, you have to get them to understand you don't just drill. Like, we're running drills, but we're running drills because we're preparing you with a lot of repetition at how they're going to guard our ball screens or how they're going to guard our pin downs.
Nikki, how do you guys prepare maybe in a different mindset as, double bye, 2 seed, as opposed to, maybe just getting that first round bye with this new bracket?
Yeah, I think, I don't know that changes because whether you get a bye, like last year, a double bye like this year, we're still going in, watching the game of the opponent we're about to play. And so I think from that perspective, what has this week meant when you don't know your opponent? It's commonalities. Like, what does Cincinnati, what does Arizona State, what does Iowa State do that there's commonalities that we can work on? What cleanup things do we just need to see? I think when you get too bogged down in, you look at yesterday, 12, 13, and 14 won. So 3 of the 4 lower seeds won games yesterday, and gosh, Kansas is playing without Elle Evans. The second half, they're down the stretch. They're playing without Samaya Nichols, so that was quite a battle considering the key players they were down. But you can't really predict anything because I think you look at a couple years ago. And TCU almost made a run in the tournament and had won one game, all conference long. And so teams have a different mindset. Like, it's a fresh start for the teams that have struggled, and there's certainly still a lot of pressure on the teams to, Kansas State is playing to still be a host. And, you kind of have all these different factors when you go into these settings. And so, it's about what do we need to be good at to be successful, and then doing a good job understanding, like, it's been a long time since we played Arizona State, but they're going to play with, probably reckless abandon, nothing to lose. Like, we all know that's Hilton South in Kansas City, so, they're going to have a big crowd, but what does Arizona State have to lose? Like, they're not playing for a WBIT or a WNIT, and, but they've got a lot of talented kids that can put the ball in the basket. So, I think they put 83 on Iowa State at their place early in the season. So, we're just going to watch the game and then put a game plan together tonight and be ready to go tomorrow.
I know confidence is a word that we've used a lot when describing this group. As you guys get ready for the new season, how would you describe their mindset right now, and how ready are you guys to respond?
It's interesting. Like, I've never read too much. I think this team has always played better loose. I know I have to stay loose for them because I think, I just think pressure is a tough thing for a lot of people, and I think they feel it enough, and so I don't want them to feel it from me. I just want us to keep playing loose, but loose with the mentality of we're going to do what we do well and really own it, and when we have balance, you look at that game against TCU, we're right there, but it didn't look like a Baylor game. We had 2 kids with 17 points, and I thought Nettie did a good job getting them. I thought Yaya did a lot of things well to get her points, but that's really not when we've been at our best. The ball needs to spray around. We need to create shots for our teammates. We need to play free flowing in transition. And so I think that's, really for us from a confidence perspective, it's about playing the type of basketball that put us in this position. And I don't think you can let one game, I'm going to say that TCU had a lot to do. with our lack of success offensively. So, but you gotta learn from that. And I think that's what this team has done really well all year. We've learned from losses. We've gotten better. We've never let a loss make us not show up the next game. We really haven't. There was no doubt. Monday was a terrible day. Like, I don't think anyone felt good on Monday. And honestly, Tuesday, by practice time, I was good. But, I think you think about the opportunity lost, and it's just really disappointing and you're really sad. But I think then you have to turn the page to okay, this is a new opportunity, and let's own this, and let's find a way to be conference tournament champions, which we haven't done since we've been here. So that's the goal. And, we need to stay confident, because I don't think teams that are questioning themselves, they don't win. They don't win at this time. They don't win in March. So we've got to stay confident and loose.
With that opportunity comes the opportunity of potentially coming back to the Foster Pavilion if you guys make a deep run there. What's the motivation? How does that motivate this squad heading into tomorrow and then the rest of the tournament?
Yeah, I think you don't want your last memory, your senior day memory, your last game in a place that's been so good to you to be painful, So I think from that perspective, everyone would love to get a win in Foster to finish the year, because we know that if we get a win, that means we're on to another Sweet 16. And so, I think you can't think too much about that. Once again, that just builds pressure. I think we just have to win one game at a time. And the reality is we're not in control. The net is a mystery anyway. So, I think it comes down to you have to continue to put quad one wins on your resume. And so I think that's what the tournament does. We're going to have a chance to, play. If we play to the championship, we'll be playing 3 really good teams and have a chance to continue to build our resume. And I thought we lost opportunities early in the season to build our resume. And I thought, it was, and a lot of it was even a little bit the way the Big 12 schedule played out, where we had the bulk of the teams, quad one, fringe quad two teams, at the end, when you take Utah out of the mix or Oklahoma State early, which, that was not a resume builder. But it gives you those chances to play those type teams again and continue to build your roster so that you can line your resume up with all those teams that are kind of between 10 and 20 that people are talking about as being on the 3 line, the 4 line. So, you also sadly cheer for the teams to lose, in those stretches. You want to take care of what you can take care of, but you also aren't sad when you see, some of those teams in similar position to you take losses in their conference tournaments.
All right, Zach, wraps up.
You've said before that you a lot of times put Bella on their best offensive player, and obviously she got awarded for that defensive play. What makes her such a good, tenacious defender? Yeah, I think a lot of it, it's really funny because I think back to, Bugs and Bella their freshman year, and Garden Maddie Segrist and Ashley Jones and Maddie Williams, and it was, man, we threw them in the fire and they got burned a lot, but they competed. And I think what the physical tools have always been there, but defenses, that's just one part. One part of defense is physical tools. Bella is strong and she's got good feet. But it's the intelligence over time. It's knowing your opponents. It's knowing when to use your strength. It's, a year ago, Bella took charges, got no blocks. This year, she went through a stretch where she was doing nothing but block shots. And we're like, girly, let's not get in foul trouble. Let's mix that, be in position to take them. And, she took a big early charge against TCU for us. When they had a potential layup opportunity. So I think it's a fearlessness to make plays. It's owning, okay, this is a player I have strength over. This is a player I have quickness over. But I think also
she has switchability. And so I think we've been able to, at times we don't get the luxury, in particular without Bugs, we don't really get the luxury of being able to put her on who we really want to without creating a mismatch somewhere else. Like when we've wanted her on Emily Ryan in the past, we could go Bugs on Addie Brown, but it becomes more of a challenge because you saw when Bella got in foul trouble, Addie Brown went to her back down game and we were struggling to not foul her because we didn't have the size, and so that's the unique thing about Bella. She's gotten more steals this year because she understands positioning, she understands what they're getting ready to do, and then I think the last thing about Bella is she's an elite communicator, and I think that's there are times when she doesn't, and it shows. But defense, good team defense, is dictated by great communication. And so when she's in action, when she's doing what she needs to do for us, it was interesting because Mosley asked me about Sarah Andrews and if why I left her in basically so much with the way she struggled offensively, and I had to talk to him about Sarah Andrews, if you watch that film, made all the right defensive plays behind the trap. We needed people not just to be in the trap and be good trappers. We needed to be good in 3-on-2 behind the trap, or 2-on-3 or whatever, wherever we were in. She ended up in 2-on-1. But who's tagging the roller? And so Bella and Sarah are best communicators. They understand what we're doing, where we're doing it, how to do it, and then they communicate to everybody else. And so I think that's the other piece that she's grown a lot in is we talked about her defensively last year, but she's made a big jump that way because she understands the longer you're in the league, the more your IQ grows in terms of your opponents, what they try to do, when they're about to back screen you, because you can be an elite athlete, but you that just means you run into a screen harder if you don't know what's coming,
I guess we're ready to start. Jada, I guess going into the Big 12 tournaments, technically don't know who you're going to play, likely Iowa State. How do you prepare for that, not knowing for sure who you're going to play?
Really just not focusing really on the other team, but what we need to improve on, just coming off this last game, defensively and offensively, just to get better. And then once we know who we play, obviously we can scout and game plan, but I'm pretty sure they have all the scouts ready just in case. So
obviously, you were disappointed not to get the win on Sunday night, but some big goals still ahead. So how do you kind of channel that? What's like kind of turning the page and focusing on what is ahead?
Yeah, really, again, just focusing on the things we have to work on to get better. We were only 3 points away from winning that game, so just how many stops do we need to get down the stretch? What offensively do we need to execute better to make sure that we can get the easiest shots possible, and then just continuing to shoot, continue to get reps so we can knock those shots down when tournament comes.
Wise, this is such a balanced team. Everyone contributes. You've stepped up in the last few games. What's it mean to you to kind of get that chance, and how much does the entire team kind of embrace that idea that everyone is going to contribute something? It's not just one player.
Well, I think losing a lot of players from injury, it means we all have to step up. So I think encouraging people to play roles and pick up slack has been important, and we've had to come together and sort of not rely on certain people to do all of it, So I think my job is just coming in, bringing energy, and doing my job and being reliable at it. So, and I rely on our starters and our older players, our experienced players, to give me that confidence, and be able to trust me, and so that I can get on and do my job as well. But yeah.
Jada, obviously a different format for this year's tournament with all the teams, but it seems like this year you guys are coming in as the not an underdog. What's the mentality? How has that changed from maybe the past year that you played in that tournament?
I feel like it's definitely a blessing just to get a double bye, being able to prepare more for the tournament and not just coming right in, having to play. So really just taking every day serious, being intentional about every practice, just keeping our momentum going. Like, we had 9 games straight, obviously, before this loss, but not letting that affect us and keep that momentum going into the tournament with teams that we get to play again that we didn't beat, and teams that we have beat. So just taking it serious and knowing that everyone's coming to win now. Records and all that go out the window. It's tournament time, win or go home, so we don't want to go home.
Just kind of going off of that, how ready is this team to respond after that loss to TCU?
I think we're really ready. I know we have a lot to work on, but we're really eager to win. And again, it's win or go home. So I know we have a lot of seniors that are eager to. This is our last conference tournament. It's our last NCAA tournament. So we want to go out strong. So, yeah.
And then, as Jerry said, potentially Iowa State, you don't know who the opponent's going to be, but if it is Iowa State, it's kind of been the tough out in years past. How do you guys approach that? Like you said, you throw the records out the window, but it's tournament time heading into that matchup.
Really just sticking to what worked the last time. We did a good job on Audi, so continuing to do that and then just picking up the slack on the extra players that may have hit shots that we didn't want to hit, and just limiting their three-point attempts. That's been a main goal, limiting three-point attempts. Our three-point defensive percentage has been high the past 2 years, so just continuing to keep that going.
Wise with Bugs going out, you and Yaya have had to fill in, I guess, some at the 4. It's almost comical sometimes when y'all forget to take the ball out. How much of an adjustment has that been? I mean, I guess some of those parts are kind of interchangeable, but how much of an adjustment has that been for you?
I mean, taking the ball out has been an adjustment because I'm so used to sprinting back. That's what I've been trained to do here. So when I've sprinted halfway down the court and then I have to sprint all the way back, I'm like, oh gosh. But it's good. You know, everyone's really patient with me. The coaches have been patient with me and Yaya. But in JUCO, I played all spots, so it's not truly an adjustment as in like physicality wise or playing up the top or down the bottom. I'm used to all that, but yeah, they're good with me.
Why are you excited for at Kansas City? I mean, I don't know how much experience you've had getting to go up there, but it's pretty good barbecue, and Big 12 tournament's kind of fun too.
Yeah, I mean, we played Kansas, right? Is that the same place or? Okay, yeah, I'm different. Yeah, I'm not from here, guys.
Neutral site.
Okay, I'm excited. I mean, any chance that I really get to just travel and be with a team is fun, and I'm always grateful for the opportunity. I didn't even know they had good barbecue there, so I guess hopefully we'll find out. Otherwise, we get catering food in the hotel. But yeah, I want to go there and win. So that's our end goal, and I'm not too worried about just enjoying the state itself. But hopefully, I'll get to go back there and maybe do a bit of tourist stuff.
Sweet, thank you.
Cool.
Thanks.